of our childhoods. We have trauma. We are hyper vigilant when it comes to, we see something happening and we can predict what will happen, or we think we know what's going to happen. So we're walking on eggshells in the world around us, and we start to really understand others, and we don't see ourselves. We're more outer than we are inner. And that's a kind of empathy, being able to see that that person is having pain before they say they have pain. However, very often you're wrong. A lot of the time we think that because we recognize the patterns or what people are doing and we see pain and they're not saying it, so we can name it, we think we're right because of our past experiences, but often if we don't remain curious and we don't ask questions and we just start to assume, we can actually take over another person's existence in a very negative way. So I do believe great leadership requires empathy. However, the different types of empathy, for example, you have the compassionate empathy, cognitive empathy, emotional empathy, attunement empathy, sympathetic empathy, vicarious empathy, somatic empathy, phenomenological empathy, background empathy. This is a good one. Background empathy is a type of empathy that involves seeing how someone's past experiences, culture, or personal history shape their responses. Anyone can learn that. You might not have that kind of empathy that I explained, that you see a cut and you feel it, or you're hypervigilant and so you know what someone's pain is. But you remain curious and open, and you understand that people have different backgrounds. You studied maybe about different cultures, a culture map or something, and you're aware that it exists. And so you allow for those other cultures to exist. You can actually grow that kind of empathy. You can also grow a kind of empathy where you, like rapport empathy, where you really build a rapport for people. You ask questions. You understand that there's differences in them than in yourself, and you maybe get really good at coaching and making sure that you ask about how they feel or what's going on or what values they need. But it doesn't mean that you feel it. Start to assume you know what another person's experience is. And that's where most leaders fail.
Yeah, you cannot, because there is a whole background and a lot of dragons that even if you see the person's view, you're not feeling dragons. You're not feeling all the trauma.
If you see similarities, you go, this person also has been adopted, or, that person also has ADHD, or, they have the same abandonment dragon as I have. To remain curious always. Because just because you have some similarities, you are different. And the way you communicate, if you want to communicate effectively, is being hyper aware of that the difference exists. And it helps you remain open and curious, asking the right questions and really including the people in your space.
Yeah. I definitely visit a lot the Courageous Conversations, so I can really frame it in a nice way and see that you're not missing anything. But it does comes like for my values. I already got myself just like, hey, I'm taking that decision, and this decision, it is between my values, right? It is the values that I wrote it there. And even revisiting the values, like, hey, is this value even still making sense? Is still like who I am. And I do think the book would be a really nice guide to like read it, and sometimes just
it's time to get this book. It's quite an investment.
It goes from part to part.
Yeah.
I do think I noticed that I'm more and more about community, and I'm developing more and more my community and people around me and stuff like that. And I do believe that if this is spread to the world like that, I do believe that we have a better world, because people that understand each other, people that communicate with each other, it's way better, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm at a traffic jam, someone cut me off or something, all of that. If you know how to communicate, and if you know how to express yourself in a way that it's impactful as well for the other person, it's changed. And that's what we have been talking, right? Someone could be really mad at you. If you know how to communicate with that person, you change. And all of a sudden you see that you're drinking a beer or a coffee, like you completely can change. I do think if it is a butterfly effect,
it's in a way you're changing by becoming more yourself.
Yeah.